Paul Tarpy and Brian Tarpy. We've founders of Exposeco, designing a business to help you, the consumer, be able to make informed decisions on big purchases in your home and making sure that you're not going to get taken advantage of or sold something that you don't need. Just protecting you guys and making sure that we're looking out for your best interests. I have been personally in the industry of selling you something for a really long time on the other side of things, and I've always wanted to be an advocate for the consumer. I just knew that there was so many different tactics out there that were being used on the consumers, and people weren't even knowing what they're getting themselves into, and oftentimes overpaying by thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, and not being able to somebody have their back, an industry professional looking out for them. That that's the vision of what has been created today, and I'm happy to have co-founded this with my brother Brian. And Brian, you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Thanks so much, Paul. Excited and honored to be on this journey with you. We talked about the issues with contracting, with salesmen, with all the dirty ploys they pull. And I'm a pastor by trade. And so I have this justice bone that's just integrated into me. And I have a heart just to see the justice side of this thing done. It drives me wild to hear some of your stories of what you've witnessed in the industry. And so I can't tell you how excited I am to go on this journey with you and lead this company to a place where we're not self-serving in this, and we're certainly not serving contractors. We're holding them accountable. And that's what really excites me. And it's pretty awesome to be your brother, to be also on the same wavelength with this journey where we're headed. And yes, that's a little bit about who we are, right? You have industry experience over 20 years plus in the sales industry, so you've seen it all. What would you say is the main thing that we're trying to do? People don't know who we are, I figure, the first time seeing us, hearing us. What do you think? How would you describe what we're trying to do for people?
I would say we're really trying to level the playing field. Often the home services industries to any old homeowner is really confusing. It's really complex. It's really hard to know if you're making a smart decision. I think my original goal was to be able to be on the consumer side of things and help them to understand, or at least feel like they have somebody that's looking over their shoulder and knowing that they're looking out for their best interests. They're not looking out for the pocketbook. Like when a salesman's in your house, no matter how nice they are, that's their job, is to befriend you, to sell you something, and that's how they make their money. And to have some people in the industry, that consumers, they have the luck
Mm,
of knowing a family friend that lives far away, or a family member that's far away that can't actually do the job for them, but can actually help them and guide them through the process to make sure that they're making a wise decision. And often those people, that's like a chunk of gold for those people, because they have somebody that has nothing but their best interests at heart, and they have the industry experience to be able to make sure that what they're paying is a fair price, and that the service that they're getting is a fair service. But often, even with those, even though you have that gold nugget, they're still not like really doing a vetting process that we've created. They're not able to really hit all the boxes that we're able to create. Because my industry experience is, I was the guy that was selling you, and I was selling at a high level. I sold roughly $30 million worth of home services to people over my career. And I've been trained by the industry leaders. And let me tell you, this industry is full of people that are professional salespeople. So if you think the guy that's coming in to tune up your furnace is just the guy that tunes up your furnace, think again. They are like ninjas. They will come
yeah.
in and they will take a call. And I've known a lot of those type of guys that are averaging ten to $20,000 per call on tune-ups, which is crazy. That's what they're bringing in on sales. And
Okay, you say take a call. What does that mean?
so that means like you call they people advertise for these tune up your heater or your air conditioner before summer, right? You see them on the billboards or you see them on TV. It says $29 or $39 to do the tune up. They go and do those tune ups and they're averaging ten to $20,000 tickets on those tune ups because they're going in, they're talking to people about how their system's failing, or they're using tactics to be able to scare people into that the system isn't going to last you through summer. You're going to be stuck in the middle of summer, and you live in Chandler, Arizona, where it's the armpit of the United States. Okay, extremely hot, and that scares real because it's like mission critical for you guys. So, but even in San Diego and other states and stuff like that, they have all these strategies to be able to coerce people into buying systems, not necessarily even needing them. And I think it's an injustice really for the consumer. People get roped into buying new systems every 12 to 15 years. Systems should be lasting you 30 plus years in most cases.
If you really think about it, okay, when somebody goes to buy a house, they have a real estate agent, and that real estate agent is 100% on their side. They're not on this. If they're on the buyer's side, then they're not on the seller's side. If they're on the seller's side, then they're not on the buyer's side usually. And so in that scenario, that person is truly advocating for you. Now, there are obviously scenarios in which they're trying to get something out of that purchase. Like they want you to spend money and buy something. That's the only way they make money. But in s in some way, shape, or form, what you're saying is, like, that everybody kinda has somebody coming and acting like that role as a realtor will do for someone who's buying a house, but it's like a salesman. Instead of that salesman being squarely on the side of the buyer, they're squarely on the side of the seller. So, that salesman, say, is coming from a company and they do not have your best interests at heart. Actually, they have the exact opposite. Their biggest interest is about making money for themselves or for the company. They may have quotas, and if they're doing a service for your house, let's say they're servicing your air conditioner or your heater, then they may also get paid for leads to get a salesperson to your door. So they just for the pocketbook, padding the pocketbook, there's all sorts of avenues for corruption for them to lie to you, to tell you things just so that they can take the next step, sell you something maybe that you don't even need. So what people really need is somebody to come alongside them that really is firmly on their side, that's not being paid by contractors, that can say, hey, this is a good deal for you, or this is a good plan for you. And you can move forward with this knowing that this is fair or this is right. But also have somebody who will say, no, in fact, this company isn't even a good company, that you shouldn't even choose to go with them because of the track record. So I just think that what you're saying is so fascinating about what you guys would do with sales and how like, even your technician that comes to your door for a $29 service call, like, how do they afford that? That's not even enough. You don't even make enough in gas to go do that. So how do they pay for that? They
Yep.
know they're gonna get you another way, right?
I want to clarify something that with the level of how much we have the consumers back is way more. I want to phrase this correctly. We have the consumers back way more than a buyer's agent on a real estate transaction. Let me explain why. Because a buyer's agent on a real estate transaction, they want you to close the deal. They
Mhm.
don't get paid unless the
Yep.
deal gets closed. The way we've structured it, we have nothing to do whether you actually purchase the contract or you don't purchase the contract. We're just there to tell you which one is the has the most value and who is the best contractor reputation wise, who also gives you the best guarantees. There's so many avenues to these proposals or offerings or estimates or whatever you like to call them that these contractors come up with, that we're there to even tell you, hey, you don't need a system because your system's not old enough to really probably need to be replaced. And what they're telling you doesn't justify actually replacing the system. We don't make money on you closing deals or you buying something. We make money when you purchase our support, and that's it. There's nothing more to it. And that's the beauty of knowing that there's no transaction that makes a difference for us. So if you decide to totally scrap the whole project, that doesn't matter to us. And in a real estate transaction, if you have a buyer's agent and you decide not to move forward with purchasing a home, that buyer's agent makes $0. So they're out there trying to get you to buy a house. And when comes to the table and negotiating happens or anything like that, you best believe you are still negotiating with your own real estate agent at the end of the day because they want that deal to be closed. They want to make sure that you are purchasing that home so they can get their commission. I wanted to create this because I wanted to be fully transparent that we have no interest in the sales process whatsoever, other than making sure that you're served the best possible. There is so many different companies out there with so many different tactics, and there's so many different ways of approaching the in-home sales in so many different trades. Right now, we're doing heating and air conditioning, and that's where I've been most of my career. So I've had the most experience knowing where the secret language in your proposal or things that make it sound like it's so much better than it is are, and they're really just overcharging you for it. I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but I just wanted to clarify the fact of how much more we're looking out for the consumer than even a real estate transaction is, because there's a level of needing to get the deal done at the end of the day, and the buyer's agent and the seller's agent come together because they both have an interest there in making sure that deal goes through.
That makes perfect sense. I think that the way that people think of realtors is generally positive. They think that those people are on their side, whether or not that actually is true. It depends on the person, right? You can have good and bad realtors. But with that said, it's almost like contractors would love their clients to believe that they have salesmen which exist to help support the homeowner. Like that's their sole purpose is to go into their home and just look around, poke around, and find exactly what they need and then service them. Like that's what they want to put on like a good look on their face. The salesmen are always better dressed than your average technician. And that's all to create this atmosphere of trust in which the homeowners led to believe that this salesman's not going to lie to me. They're only going to tell me the truth. And more and more it's coming out, and I love what's coming out on social media about this. They're exposing these contractors, they're exposing faulty work, overpromising, under-delivering, the lies are coming out,
Yeah.
and we wanna be in the mix. We got you contractors. It's our time. It's our time to point the finger, to call people out, to let people know it's not okay anymore. We're not going to stand by. And hopefully what we do is part of a bigger mission that's going across the United States, which is that every service industry, it doesn't matter if it's car buying or whether it's like solar or whatever industry, that people are going to hopefully have advocates or people who are experts in those industries that can actually inform them truthfully from their perspective about what they should do and stop stealing from average good homeowners. It's time.
Yeah.
It's time.
And I'm sure there's people in tons of different industries that are experience this on the opposite end of things. I'm sure insurance has their own thing. I know what's that? It's another home service, which is like flood and restoration. Those guys, they have an insane. I've caught them multiple times trying to take advantage of people. My own parents, they had a little water leak in the wall, and it was like had just happened, and they literally were getting him to sign a contract, and they were going to tear half the house apart and bill the insurance and all this other stuff. And It was literally we fixed the leak in 30 minutes and put a fan and let it dry out and never had an issue, and it was like a 6 by 6 drywall patch. Otherwise, it was gonna be like a 50 to $100,000 tear out and put back type of project, and it's just they were gonna make it that big because they know the insurance was gonna pay for it, and then my parents were gonna have to pay for expensive homeowners insurance from there because of the claim, and the only
And
person
of
that
course,
was making
yeah,
anything of it was the home service, company.
exactly, exactly. So they use that and they use the fear factor, right? How many stories probably you're familiar with that those it's not just, hey, we're gonna clean up this spill. But it's like mold, right? They're
Yeah.
gonna drop the mold word,
Yep.
black mold, like, once that gets into you, like, you will die of lung disease. What's always so ominous with the furnace is it's dangerous.
Carbon
There's so many
monoxide. Yep.
things, like carbon monoxide, yeah, you can die, and so it puts a sense of urgency because people who are uninformed, what are you supposed to do? You have to choose between life or death. Like, what's money when you're dead? You can't spend money when you're dead. So I'll spend 20,000 bucks just to make sure I don't die tonight. Okay. And it's
And
just not right.
not to say that those things don't happen, but the thing is like the the rule and the exception are 2 different things, and it's like the chances of you having carbon monoxide coming out of your vents is extremely low, and if you're really worried about it, get a good carbon monoxide detector, and you should have a good carbon monoxide detector. You could get the nicest carbon monoxide detector that will sense down to some crazy level that if you blow on it too hard, it might go off, and you will be more than protected. And if you put a couple of them in your house, it's even more protection. And those will probably cost you maybe a couple $100 and they'll last you 10 years. And you have peace of mind that your system is not dangerous at that point.
That point, you're talking about a difference of how much, right? A couple $100 versus 10 to 20 grand if you have to replace that system.
Yep.
Like,
And here's a little nugget for everybody. This, if you don't listen to anything else today, but you listen to this, I'll save you guys hundreds of dollars every year for the rest of your life. Don't call a heating and air conditioning company to do a tune up on your system. Call your local gas and electric company. They do it for free. And those guys will not sell you anything because they can't. And they will tell you if your system is functional and working just fine or if it's dangerous. They run all the tests for you for free. And if there's something wrong with your system, a lot of times they'll tell you what's wrong with it exactly. And that's for free as well. So everybody hates SDG&E here in San Diego. And I think, what is it, PG&E out there? Or what do you guys have for your utility provider?
oh, SRP, Salt River
But
Project.
yeah, I know that our local SDG&E does it for free, and I'm pretty sure the rest of them do as well in California. So I don't know about Arizona. So Californians, you're welcome. I just saved you guys money every year.
But wait
And
a minute, but wait a minute. Okay, I got a question about that because I have a guy who told me that I need to get my system checked out so that he's gonna clean the coils, he's gonna change the air filter and make sure my compressor's working. Like, is don't they do that too? I know SDG&E doesn't do that.
yeah, so normally the gas company really is going to do the heating side of things, not the air conditioning side of things. So they're not going to do that, but a quick YouTube video will tell you exactly how to service your air conditioner on your own. It's simple. It's taking a garden hose and spraying your air conditioner downwards, don't spray upwards. And that's really the outside unit's needs. Inside, make sure your filter gets changed. That's like the most common thing that people don't do and it destroys their system.
Right now, you're saving me like 125 bucks right now. You're telling me all I gotta do is spray my air conditioner down with the hose, a garden hose,
Mhm,
and all I have to do is change my air filter,
mhm.
and that's effectively that $100 service, and I don't have to have a sales guy come over and tell me why I need a new system?
Yeah, so these guys, their tactics, they'll come in. There's some of them will do a more thorough job than that, but most, unless you're like your air conditioner is right next to a dryer vent where your dryer shoots out the exhaust, then you usually don't have a lot of debris in your air conditioner, or unless you have vines or things growing all over or leaves going inside of it. If that's not the case, then you really like your air conditioner. A lot of them are made to never really be touched. You can spray, like I said, spray them down and try to clear out any debris around the outside portion of it. But the main critical need is to make sure your filter stays clean. Because if it doesn't stay clean, that is that will really it'll it'll kill a system. That's the 2 cents of for today as far as like savings. I think that there's obviously sometimes there's needs for additional cleanings and such, but most of the stuff that they're offering you on those tune-ups are added system protections. That's what they call them, added system protections. And they're just you don't have to do them. Don't be scared into having to do something. A common thing that people sell is surge protection, a surge protector, and
Oh,
it's
yeah. No, I've seen this one.
yeah, so they'll hit you with these surge protectors but, like, for the first, 60 years of air conditioning, surge protectors didn't even exist, and the one thing that we find that go out quite a bit is, like, these little capacitor things, like oval. They actually if they shock you, it hurts really bad because they have a jolt. They'll jolt the electricity way up like a car starter, and we used to call them motor boosters. And the reason why we call them motor boosters is because we didn't want people to look up online to see how much the part was that we sold them. Because the part is $5 or $15, maybe even 20 now, but we sell them for $500. That's what the company sold them for. And people didn't want to get bad reviews or anything like that. So we ended up changing what the name of it was so it didn't match anything that was online. So people couldn't look it up online. And so that stuff is super common part to go bad in a system. And people could do it themselves, but you got to have kind of the tools and the knowledge to do it, which I don't suggest a homeowner to do it. And if somebody charges you $300, the company's really probably not making very much money, only charging you $300 because of all the overhead that they have and stuff. That's also a misconception on the consumer side is that like contractors are making millions or tons of money when there's a lot of regulation on the contracting industry, and there is there's some grace to be had when it comes to actually understanding a service and the knowledge that comes behind the service. But where the problem lies is when people get greedy and are they're overselling, and they're not providing a good honest service at that point. They're looking out for their own best interests, you know?
Yep. Yep. And so, what we're going to do in this podcast, if you journey with us, is we're going to blow up some of those things that Paul's talking about, some of those service specific industry things that we both know about from in terms of sales, in terms of just communication tactics. I have my degree in communication theory. We're going to blow up some of those things. We're going to give a contractors a little bit of grace here and there, but that's not really our job. But yeah, we'll acknowledge the fact that there are good contractors out there. There are good people, men and women that are working in the home service industries. And so we just want to point those people or point you in their direction if you utilize our services. If not, and you just journey with us and grow with the podcast, that's great too. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to expose the home services industry. We're going to help homeowners like yourself just get the service that they're looking for, what they need. And yeah, just hope that you journey with us in this process.
I'm excited. It's going to be awesome.
Sweet. All right, Paul, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I'm looking forward to more chats coming up. And yeah, stay tuned.